Hey everybody, this Monday, May 2nd, we have on the experience some great books. You're going to have Rex, you're going to have John, you're going to have Rockin Robbie, you're also going to have lots of Doctor Strange, Star Wars, and more. We've got Defenders #1, Defenders #2, Marvel Feature with the Defenders #1, Marvel Feature #2 with the Defenders, Fantastic Four 27, and hopefully more vintage. Oh wait, we do! Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts #2. We'll have classic Marvel Star Wars, including newsstand editions. And we will have Moon Knight. This one has Daredevil. I can't believe it. We're actually going to put this up for sale. I love Daredevil. We have more Moon Knight. We have more Moon Knight. We have more Moon Knight. And let's go back to Fantastic Four. This has the Submariner. But you know what? It's going to be available Monday, May 2nd, 6 p.m., only on The Experience. Join Robbie, Rex, and John. It will be a fun time, and we're also going to have some giveaways. See you then.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. It's Friday. That means it's the Rex and the Robbie Show. What's up, Rex?
What's going on, Robbie?
Not too much. Happy to be here again on a Friday talking to you, my homie. We had a fantastic night, Monday night, over at The Experience for your Comics Collectibles show. Had a sellout, had a lot of fun, a lot of interaction with the chat, and I'm looking forward to it again this Monday because Nick has got some really freaking fantastic books lined up, man.
That is true. That is true. So Monday, 6 to 8 on The Experience. As usual, you'll be here, and my buddy John will be here. So should be a good time, man.
Yeah, I always look forward to that show. It's a nice, like, warm-up, lead-in, double feature night. You know, we do the movie review. By the way, we all loved Dick Tracy. Like, just revisiting that, it's got its flaws, but it's so fun and so bold for what it was doing and rather ambitious. So
I think it's gotten better with time in the sense that when it first came out, I think there was a lot of people trying to kind of bash it, if you will, without really giving it a chance. So there are a lot of criticisms about the color and the use of primary colors and, you know, all that good stuff. And when you watch it again, I mean, when you think about the star-studded cast, I thought as I look back, the primary colors really did kind of work. And, you know, you look at the script, the storyline, the screenplay, and it was good. You know, I think it just got kind of a bad rap initially. You know, it didn't. People were waiting to kind of dump on it. I think, you know what I mean? Yeah. That was that kind of atmosphere at the time when the movie was released. But as you go back in time, I mean, I think it really was a very well made movie. You know?
Yeah. Oh, definitely, man. And I remember the marketing bonanza over that because I was a kid. I was like, this movie was 1990, so I was like 9 years old, and I was all up in it. Like I bought toys. I remember getting the cups or the whatever they were at McDonald's, something like that, like Happy Meal toys or something, and the Playmates figures, and just being all about this movie. And I also remember like people older than me kind of crapping on it, being like, "Oh, Madonna sucks," and Warren Beatty's old and all this kind of stuff. But and it was weird because it was so geared up and marketed towards kids. But when I rewatched it, I'm like, this is not a movie made for kids. This is made for older people that love those comic strips, you know?
Yes. So, and that's, you know, we've seen it over and over again now, but I mean, that's one of the things that happens. It was one of the, I don't say the first, but it was definitely one of the initial films that were based on something else, you know. So you're looking at the Dick Tracy comic strips, which I used to read in the papers. So there was always that comparison there. And then, you know, I think, you know, people enjoyed bashing Warren Beatty, and Madonna was always a target, you know.
Yeah.
So
it's the year after Batman, you know, and you can also tell that they're trying to get on that. They had Danny Elfman come in and to basically rip himself off to do the score.
Right. So, but yeah, it's one of those films I think that's lasted the test of time. So,
yeah, I wound up giving it a 4 out of 5 on the revisit, so that was pretty fun. Are you caught up on Moon Knight? What do you been thinking about that, Rex?
I am. You know, I think it was on Wednesday. On the Wednesday show, we were talking to John, and John's reaction was, you know, a little bit lackluster. I think Alec is kind of giving up on it. I kind of felt the same, but this last episode, I really enjoyed it. You know, that the whole concept of, you know, is he crazy? Is he not crazy? It kind of had that element to it, which I thought was really good. And again, I got to say, Oscar Isaac is just a tremendous actor.
Yes.
And that episode really kind of pushed, I think, his acting chops, if you will. And I thought he did a phenomenal job. But I really enjoyed the last episode. So I don't know how they're going to close this up. What is it, next Wednesday, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I got to say, up until then, I was kind of lukewarm. But this last episode, I really kind of enjoyed it. I mean, if you just kind of watch it for what it is, I really, that episode was a good one.
I still am rather conflicted on this series because Oscar Isaac is brilliant in it.
He is.
In this episode, you're right. This was the one where he went the furthest with his acting chops. And so I like that. There's other things I love. I love the music. I love this surreal, dreamlike Egyptian mythology that they're using, the way that they're painting that, when they're there in the duat, the way that looks, right? Looks cool. The music, it sounds, I'm into Egyptian stuff. One of my favorite old school movies is The Mummy with Boris Karloff.
Right.
I love that kind of vibe, right? So it's given me that, and I like it. But at the same time, the CG is terrible. Terrible. I cannot believe that Disney's putting this out. It looks like a World of Warcraft or something to me. But, and I don't know, man. Story-wise, I don't know. There's something about this so disconnected from what I know of Moon Knight, that it's doing it. And they keep going, why are they trying so hard not to show us Jake Lockley? I feel like they've already referenced him. I think we may have even seen him in this last episode because I started seeing this New Yorker accent coming out in certain moments,
yes.
Right? And I'm like, is that supposed to be the big reveal that there's a third personality? Because we already know that, but I guess most of the people watching don't. So,
well, I just don't know. I mean, we're coming to the last episode, and they dumped a lot of stuff on us. The previous episode, the one that came out this week. Which again, I want to say I enjoyed the episode itself, but now it feels like the first 4 episodes you really just didn't do enough, And I don't know how they're going to close this up with 1 episode left to go. That's what I think is going to be interesting. How they're going to try to close that end. I just don't think they have enough time.
Yeah, especially knowing that they don't have Oscar Isaac on contract. He doesn't have any desire to come back and do this. It's meant to be a one and done thing. And so this is the Moon Knight story we're getting, these 6 episodes. And man, you gotta really sell me. Regardless, CG to me has been really weak. Just put the dude in a suit. I'm so tired of this CG Moon Knight, man. But I don't know.
I haven't really noticed that as much as you have. I guess. I don't know. I mean, because so much of it is so surreal that I haven't really looked at it with a critical eye. But I'll probably rewatch the series at some point. Once it's complete, and I'll probably notice it then. But so far, I haven't really noticed it.
Yeah,
but
it's Moon Knight himself. When he becomes Moon Knight, it's just
you mentioned this before, with the cape and everything. So it's something you've referenced before.
Yeah,
but I haven't really looked at it with that eye. I've been just kind of looking at it. Obviously, Oscar Isaac's acting is engaging, so you watch that a lot. You're still waiting for something to come together. So that's been a little bit lacking. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they're going to try to close this up.
Yeah, for sure. And the only other thing that really bothers me still is the Mr. Knight interpretation, because in the comics, Mr. Knight's I'm the one you see coming. And then in this show, it's put up your dukes, mate. Let's get to fisticuffs. Come on. I'm Colonel Sanders. Anyway. It's a little weird. All right, let's talk about our topic this week, because I think this is some rather big news that dropped, and it's kind of some interesting news. But Dan DiDio and Frank Miller, we've already gotten news in the last few weeks that they were pairing up with Fan Expo, I think, to do exclusive contracts on appearances, right? So we knew that Dan and Frank were working together, but apparently over the last few months, they've been quietly building up a publishing company called Frank Miller Presents. Frank Miller will be operating it as president and editor-in-chief. Dan DiDio will be the publisher. They brought in someone else to be the chief creative officer, maybe, or CFO or something. But it's Dan and it's Frank, and the idea is to have a line of comics, 4 to 5 a year, bringing in new talent, established talent, and trying to create a vision of a line of books in Frank's distinctive style. A lot of people may think that means artistically. I think it means artistically, but also just creatively, narratively. I think all that kind of stuff. We know nothing about any of the other creators that have apparently a part of this. We don't know what Frank himself is writing or drawing. All we've gotten so far is the announcement that we're getting Sin City 1858, which is a prequel to Sin City. It's a Western, and Frank's been on record for years saying that he's been working on a Sin City Western. So I hope that he's drawing it, because I'd hate to see Sin City done by another artist. And then he's doing, very puzzling to me, a sequel to Ronin, which is, at the time, was a failure, but has become a critical darling and one of my favorite Frank Miller books, Ronin. So they're doing Ronin Book 2, and then 2 other books announced, Pandora and Ancient Enemies, and these are brand new ones that we don't know anything about. So what are your thoughts on this announcement?
Well, it sort of makes sense now, because when I saw the list of guests for Fan Expo, I saw Frank Miller, and I thought that was odd. He hasn't been doing a lot of them. So I thought that was interesting. Now it's all sort of falls in place as to why he was doing that. Obviously, he knew that this was coming around the bend, and I'm sure he wanted to put himself back in the limelight, if you will, more currently in the limelight to help promote this. So it kind of makes sense, though. I think that, I think it's probably good timing, in the sense that he is probably, love him or hate him, he's probably one of your most well-known comic creators that are still alive, and has kind of a mainstream following because of stuff that he's done. Obviously Sin City, that type of thing. So to me, I think it's definitely a benefit, especially given how the MCU and then obviously in second place the DC universe have really controlled that I don't know, I guess that market, if you will. And Frank Miller, who has the name recognition coming out with his own publishing company, which inevitably, he was doing it before, which inevitably will find its way to a streaming series or a movie or, something to that effect. So, So all of it is, I think, a very exciting moment, that he's getting ready to do this and going back to his roots, if you will, and obviously having a lot of creative control now, since it becomes his publishing company. He pretty much can give the yay or nays on creative direction, a lot of different things. So I'm excited. I think this is absolutely positive for the comic, the comic hobby as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. Dan DiDio, I actually am a fan of him. He was a figure that a lot of people loved or hated when he was operating as publisher and co-publisher of DC. I liked some of the stuff that he was trying to do. Not everything worked, but I liked him. Obviously, Frank Miller likes him because they had a really good working relationship. Mm-hmm. And Frank had come in to DC several years ago to return to the world of the Dark Knight, right? And they did Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, and they did a series of one-shots. And he was kind of curating this line. And the idea at the time that they were selling was they were going to expand this line out and keep bringing in new artists and stuff. They had Raphael Grandpa do, I think The Golden Child is what it was called or whatever, but amazing artists, right? So I would love to see Grandpa show up in Frank Miller Presents, right? We also know that a few years ago, it was first announced that he was wanting to do a Sin City Western. Sin City is published by Dark Horse. Dark Horse just got picked up by what? It was like the Embracer Group or something like that. So no media company gobbles up a comic book publisher, takes their, and without the plans on maybe like a Hellboy series or more Sin City or something like that. So it's interesting to me, I guess, since it's a prequel and in a Western style and not that detective noir style, maybe he can publish it on its own, but the other Sin City stuff stays there. And then with Ronin, that's weird because that's still published by DC. So he's doing a sequel, but on his own. I don't know. I think it's weird. But so we know that they like working together. And I think what happened was when Dan DiDio left DC, like that was 2 years ago. And I think that then their plan started shifting and changing and be like, okay, let's do exactly what we wanted to do, but now we don't have to just use Batman. Now we can like use your brand, your properties, and then do something new. And maybe with that name, we can do it. And it's no surprise to me that this is 2 years later. 2 years is usually the duration of a no compete clause, right? So it feels like, okay, Dan's like, cool, time to get back to publishing. Yeah. And I'm hooking up with Frank Miller, and good luck getting him back, DC. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's cool, man.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, I can only see positives coming out of this. I mean, you know, worst case scenario, it just doesn't take hold and you know, it fizzles. But I just really can't see that happening with the talent he's talking about. And I think in the article that came out, I think it was Hollywood Reporter or whatever, you know, the interview with Frank Miller, you know, he's talking about bringing in veterans. He's talking about bringing in up and coming artists. And I think that's been a fantastic thing as well. You know, so to me, this only makes the mix more interesting, and you know, has the potential again of movies, of streaming series. You know, who knows? You know, that'd be great to see as well. Sin City, it was a little disjointed the way the movie was made, but it still worked. You know, I think that's. You know, I give all the credit to the editors taking these, you know, these random scenes and stitching a story together. So, you know, sometimes the unsung hero is the editor who just takes the ideas of a writer or a director and stitches it into a cohesive story. Because sometimes
it may have been Robert Rodriguez likes to do a lot of his own editing, so that may have been him that edited that.
You might be right. I mean, you know. You know, maybe he had a vision on how to tell a story, so to speak. But you know,
I like that first. I really do like that first Sin City movie. I still haven't seen the second one though. So I heard that one wasn't as good.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it's very hard for a sequel to overcome, you know, the first picture, motion picture. You know, if it's insanely popular. I mean. You know, people could say that they've been chasing Star Wars since you know the 1977 original movie, you know, and they've been trying to chase it year after year after year, movie after movie after movie, and I would say, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, I think most of us would say that it is every movie that's come out after has paled from the original. You know, they haven't quite gotten there, so. Certainly the middle trilogy was, you know, widely panned. And even the last trilogy, you know, it felt like the last trilogy really felt like they were taking a cookie cutter and just trying to change the characters, you know, change enough of the storyline so it doesn't seem exactly the same, but you could feel it, you could tell, you know, the goals were the same, you know, so on and so forth. So I'm glad I saw the second Sin City, but you know, again, no, it wasn't as good as the original, obviously.
Yeah, that's sad for me too, because one of my favorite Sin City stories is A Dame to Kill For, and I know that that's like the core of that second film. But I don't think like Rodriguez, who did the second Sin City film? I don't even know. I'm gonna look it up. I did look it up. It is Robert Rodriguez was the editor of Sin City, which makes a lot of sense. To Kill For. Okay, which 2014, that's like 9 years after the fact. Still has a really good cast when you look at it. Who was the director? It's Frank Miller, Robert Rodriguez. It's still them? Holy cow, I didn't know that. I thought it was different people. Okay, I do need to check it out. So I'll do that soon. Frank Miller's 65 years old. Do you think he's taking too much as trying to run a new publisher, start a new company, editor-in-chief, president and creator? Is he going to draw anything? Like, I'm curious.
That's a very valid question, but I mean, I guess at this point in time, you're as old as you feel, I guess. So if he feels he can take it on, that should be interesting. You know, I mean, it would be nice if it was his art that was dominant in what comes out. You know, I think they're talking about what they say, 2 to 4 titles a year, but I don't know how feasible that is. And then there's talk about him bringing in veterans and then up and coming creators. So, you know, I think I think we'll see some. I don't know how much we'll see. Yeah. But again, I think it's an exciting move for comics. You know, I think it'll be It'll be a good thing. It'll add something to the mix. And as I said before, it kind of frees Frank Miller up on a creative sort of direction. He really now has the ability to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that, because even with restrictions, he's been able to produce some really phenomenal stuff. I mean, obviously he's got a very fertile mind. So I'm interested to see, Unchained, where he can go.
Yeah, especially bringing in new people. And it's exciting to me, for instance, for him to find or elevate new talent, and then them get to really kick off their careers and start off doing something where they get to just ham out and don't have to deal with those restrictions that you deal with at the big two. In recent years, other publishers outside of Marvel and DC have proven that they are just as powerful, especially in Hollywood. Over there at Dynamite, y'all got the Boys Show going. That's a huge success. Image has had success with the Invincible TV series. There's been other successes. Dark Horse with Umbrella Academy over at Netflix, and Boom, obviously, just selling off all these new properties and stuff. And it's a different world now, and it's another step, because I can't remember now, but there's another publisher that's about to be launching with some veteran creators like Brett Booth, and a few others. I can't remember what that company is right now, but more of these established creators and newer creators and cartoonists are wanting to work outside of that Marvel DC system. And I think that it's already been gearing that way, but this is a big statement where we're like, Frank's like, I can do it myself. Dan's like, I don't need DC. We're going to do what we're going to do. And on the brand name of Frank Miller, that's an interesting title too. Frank Miller Presents. So I think it's a strong statement that, once again, comics ain't just Marvel and DC, and some of the better ones don't come from them, in my opinion.
Well, I think that and a lot of people have criticized. Obviously, we actually had one of the shows, your shows that we did was, or maybe it was with Alec. I don't remember, but is the MCU ruining Marvel? And yeah, I think it was with Alec. So it's an interesting question. A lot of people discuss it. It's always something on the tip of comic fans, tongues, as to a controversy to discuss. But I think we forget sometimes that the benefit of all of this, the success of MCU and to a certain extent, the success of the DC universe for certain movies, I think what that's done is that it's opened up the door for independent publishers to really, make a move. And you can see it when it crosses over into streaming shows or movies or whatever the case may be. And as you said, Dark Horse, Image, Dynamite, all the smaller publishers have been able to now crack into that realm. And now I think you're going to see something very significant, because now you're talking about Frank Miller, who was one of the first. And without, a Superman or a Batman or a Spider-Man or whatever, he was able to crack into that already. So it took all of this time for it to eventually evolve into this point. So now, with the current state of things as it pertains to comic books and how they transfer over into movies and streaming shows, now all of a sudden, I think Frank Miller, when he first did, stuff like Sin City, and it became a movie, this kind of thing was in its infancy. It was a new concept. Now I'd say it's in its adolescence. It's almost when you talk about the majority of new releases having something to do with whether it be movies or a streaming series, has to deal with comic books. I think you've reached that adolescent period for this, and now you put Frank Miller back in that position to be able to do something. Should be very exciting to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, and definitely already a name established in Hollywood too, because a lot of us remember there was the time where Hollywood went after Frank Miller. He did work on the RoboCop movies back in the day, right? Then he came back to comics. They made the Sin City movie. That was successful. They did 300 right around that same time, and it was just popping. Those were 300, like, people I knew in my life that didn't know the name Frank Miller loved 300 in Sin City. And I got them into, like, Frank Miller has been, like, to me, is one of the best entry points to people into the industry, because depending on someone's taste, I can give them a Sin City book or Batman Year One or Dark Knight Returns or some Daredevil Born Again. And that's a good entry point. And so Frank Miller is that perfect bridge, I think, between Hollywood and comics. And even though Frank's been criticized of late and not all of his work has hit, I'm really excited to see him return to Sin City. I'm really excited to see him return to the world of Ronin. That's fantastic, because Ronin's something that took a long time to become appreciated for what it is, which is, to me, a masterpiece. So really, really excited about this. It sounds like you are too, Rex. So overall, we're very excited to see what's going to happen with Frank Miller Presents, right?
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. All right, let's get to the giveaway.
Yes.
And by the way, we want to hear what you think about this news. In fact, comment below. You'll be entered to win a contest. We'll announce that contest on Monday's show over at The Experience, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday. Link in the description below. Lots of great books, some really cool retro vintage books this week. Defenders, Doctor Strange. You know, I think there's this little Doctor Strange movie coming out that's probably going to be a little bit.
I heard something about that.
Yeah, just a wee bit. So what's the giveaway for the people that were part of the chat on Monday? That's the drawing today. So what you got there, Rex?
The giveaway will be Army of Darkness, 1979, number 3, and it is one of the Dynamite premium metal covers. So this is an aluminum alloy. It is not a foil cover. You guys can see the reflection. So the winner from Monday's show will receive this free gift.
Nice. I got the names loaded up. All you had to do was participate in the chat on Monday, and anybody that participates in the comments down below today will be entered to win the contest on Monday's drawing. And the winner is John Spelio Station. That guy helped clean us out on Monday, so that's nice. That's nice to see that happen.
He did. So it's not just drinking and driving; it's drinking and watching comic shows.
Oh, I know, right? As well. Yeah, please drink while you watch our show on Monday night. All right, this has been fun. Thank you, Rex, for joining us and discussing this news about Frank Miller.
Always a pleasure, Robbie, and excited about this one. This one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to drop and seeing some of the talent that's going to be attached to it. I'm really excited. I saw some people complaining. They're like, the fact that they didn't announce any of the other creators, like that's shady. And I was like, no, because this announcement would have swallowed those names up, right? Yes, so you make the announcement, then you make those following announcements. Yes. Join me tomorrow night on Dylan's Horror Show. We're talking about John Carpenter's classic movie, Christine. And then Monday night, after you're done watching us over at The Experience, check us out for Tremors on PCP Movie Night. That is the winner of the PCP audience poll. So audience choice went to Tremors. It beat out Fight Club. As much as I was campaigning for Fight Club. Yeah, Tremors beat out Fight Club. I think it's because people know I'm not a big fan of Tremors. And they just want me to... languish in pain, yeah. But maybe I'll like it this time. It's been several years since I've seen it. So, Rex, thank you as always for joining us, buddy.
Pleasure. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Yeah, y'all have a good one out there too. Don't forget, comment below. And Frank Miller Presents coming soon. Station.